Okay, welcome to Ask Uncle Lee Wednesday, and as always, if you've got any questions, just put them in the comments below, and I will add them to the list. But let's get to today's questions. I'm Lee W. Johnson. Don't forget to subscribe or get more on Patreon. Okay, right. First question is quite long. Ended up being a bit of a discussion. Let's go over here. All right, this is from Silverado7. Describing the triangles in the scrying reminds me of the triangles from the hexagram ritual. You should do a video on Theophany. Everyone is interested in that. I did say I'll see what I can put together for that. Funny enough, I have never been interested in it, and I haven't really. I speak to the spirits. I don't need them to physically appear in front of me for that, but I guess it is a thing. To which Silverado replied, I would go so far as to say it's the number one thing that new occultists are looking for, otherwise you're just talking to yourself. I heard the term from S. Connolly, and I think she mentions it in Calling Down Belial. Haven't read it. And I replied, she also rightly mentions that this is extremely rare, and that people who claim they have physical manifestations of spirit every time they work with demons are fake. Silverado replied, fair enough. How else can you verify that you are communicating with something outside yourself? Hard question to answer. Can't wait to see your opinion on it. So, all right. Theophany. First of all, what is theophany? It is the manifestation of a spirit, a god form, into physical manifestation where not just you can see it, but other people can see it as well. That's what theophany is. You'll often get case where you are working with the spirits and you are doing some form of evocation work, and you call the spirit into physical manifestation within your space, and you can sit and talk to it. But this is not really a physical manifestation. It is a manifestation in your own mind's eye. It's just a projection. Or it could be formed in smoke or something like that. Or you see the spirit in the dark mirror. All of these things kind of fall into this category. But that's not physical manifestation. That therefore is not theophany. What you are looking for with theophany specifically is to have a group of people who, at least 2 people, 3 people even better, who actually physically see the manifestation of the spirit in the room. Okay, that is theophany. Now, somebody who says that that happens all the time, every time they work with spirits, is really talking shit. It is extremely rare. Even seasoned adept magicians, it may happen to them once or twice in their life. It's never happened to me that I know of anyway. I don't remember anything like that happening. If I have had a manifestation, it has been, I'm going to say astrally. I have seen the spirit in front of me. I have talked to it directly, but nobody else would have been able to see it, only me. It's only presented itself to me astrally, okay? So again, this is not theophany. And maybe this is where people are getting things a bit mixed up, thinking that, when they say they are calling a spirit into physical manifestation every time they do a summoning or an evocation, they're not actually, it's not physical manifestation, it's not theophany, it is just this projection, which usually only the one person can see. And you'll typically find this if you have, your typical sort of Solomonic grimoire working, where you are calling the spirit into a triangle, and you're working within a circle. Usually, those operations have at least 2 people, and one person is the operator who's doing the conjurations and the prayers and everything else, reciting all the stuff, the license to depart and the threats and everything else. They're standing there doing all the conjurations, while the second person is the seer or the scryer, and that's the person who is actually looking into the dark mirror, okay, and talking to the spirit directly, getting the responses. The operator doesn't see anything. The scryer, the seer, does. So here again, you've got this example of you are doing an evocation work and you're talking to a spirit directly, but there's two people in the room and only one person can actually see the spirit. All right. So again, that is not theophany. Theophany is a physical manifestation where multiple people can see the spirit, and for that to happen is extremely rare. It really is extremely rare. And I wouldn't consider it at all necessary. We have ways to talk with spirits. I mean, if theophany itself is so rare, and all the new people to magic and craft and everything else are pursuing this idea, you're going to be extremely disappointed. So rather kind of explore avenues that the rest of us actually have success with. So that would be using a dark mirror, doing ascension work, which is something that is spoken about by S. Connolly. In other traditions, it's not called ascension work; it's called something else. And usually, that within traditional witchcraft, for example, that is usually going from your compass. You lay your compass, and then you move beyond the actual compass space. The compass kind of creates a hedge. So this becomes this idea of hedge riding. So it creates like a hedge that you step from this reality into the other reality over the hedge. You ride over the hedge. And you go to the other world, go to the underworld, and you speak to the spirits directly in their home, in where they live. And that's really what ascension work is going to the demonic realm and speaking with the demons directly. And I do this via my astral temple. I have a door, and this is specifically working with demons. I have another door that I can go through, which has kind of like this weird kind of a vehicle that I sit in, and there's a dude there and says, "Where would you like to go, sir?" And I say, "I want to go speak to her, whichever god or goddess," and he punches something in the panel, and we go, "Pooh," and then doors open, and I'm there, okay, in the god or goddess's realm. But I do have a specific door where I go through to speak with the daimonic themselves, whether that is the spirits of the Goetia, whether it is any of the other daimonic entities that form part of the pantheon of daimonolatry. I have this specific door where I draw the sigil on the door. There's no handle to it. I draw the sigil on the door, and then it glows, and the door opens, and I step in, and it's this complete void space. And I wait there for a little while, and I may chant the end of the spirit, or call out their name or something like that. And eventually, it's almost like a curtain gets drawn across, but it's not really a curtain because it's in the entire scene. And I'm in this new place, and that's the specific spirit or daemon that I want to speak to, and I go and speak to them there. You can invoke or evoke, depending on which terminology you're using and which tradition you're following and whose terminology and perspective you're using, the spirit into your own space and talk to it directly. You can do this either through direct transmission, as in you've got your eyes closed, you're not seeing anything, or even with your mind's eye you can see it, a spirit sitting in front of you. It differs for everybody, but usually it's that kind of direct communication. You ask a question, you get an answer, that type of thing, and that answer could come through in a variety of different ways. Again, depends on the person. It could be thoughts, impressions like I get, or it could be you could hear a voice, you could see a vision, which is the communication. You just have to interpret it. You can do the same thing without direct communication. You can use a pendulum, or you can use tarot cards. There are there are hundreds, thousands of different ways you can actually communicate with the spirits. And this idea of theophany, pursuing the idea of theophany, is really probably going to bring a lot of disappointment. unless it's something you are specifically wanting to do, wanting to accomplish and perfect, is this idea of bringing a spirit into physical manifestation, then, sure, go for it. But if it's just the idea of you want to communicate with the spirit, I would really let go of this idea of theophany, and pursue the other methods, because you could be pursuing theophany for decades and not get anywhere, and then all of a sudden 20, 30 years down the line you have a physical manifestation, and that's it. And you spent 20, 30 years trying to get to that point. Now it's happened, yay, fantastic, and you wasted 20, 30 years when you could have been doing other things. Okay, but as I said, if it's something you really do want to pursue, specifically for that reason, just because you want to have a physical manifestation, then sure, go for it. Okay, so that's theophany. Right, so let's move on to the next question. Also from Silverado. Just go over here quick. You just jumped straight to the HGA. What about zodiacal? I only found this video because I had my natal chart read and found out that for pieces, I'm going to assume that's supposed to be Pisces. I'm not sure. My guardian angel is Jabamaya. Then I found C.R. Runyon, picture of the Master Mandala, showing that there are corresponding demons to angels. Does this mean I have a guardian demon? Seems like a silly question, but based on the picture, my real question was, how do I contact it? Seems most ritual in demonology is directed to the daimon. In high magic, you have to go Pisces, Bachiel, Avron, Jabamaya, making sure your energy is rooted correctly, apparently. Not that I've seen results with either. I've never seen this information documented altogether. 4 archangels, 12 zodiacal, 36 angels of the deacons, 72 angels of the Shem and their demon counterparts. You can source the material out online, but it'd be nice to have a definitive voice on it. Also, the movie A Dark Song, they rented the house, I think, for the operation. Alright, so there's actually so much to unravel there. So first of all, when it comes to the Holy Guardian Angel, it is not an angel that already exists. It's not part of this, the angelic realm, the seraphim and the thrones and etc, etc, etc. So yes, maybe Jebediah came up in your natal chart. I am not an astrologer. Kai would probably be the best person to talk to here. So if you want to pop onto Into the Wildwood live and just ask your question. Otherwise, just get into one of the videos there, go into the comment section. You'll find a link tree, and go onto the Into the Wildwood Discord server and ask a question in the astrology section. And I'm sure Kyle will be able to help with that specifically with the natal chart, because if you go into Agrippa's 3 books on occult philosophy, it is mentioned in there, there's a certain way of working with the actual natal chart, and it's very specific, very, very specific. You have to have your birth time down to the last second practically to actually get this right. But there's a way to work it where you find your holy daimon. See, this is where terminology gets a bit screwy and mixed up. Some people refer to the holy daimon as the holy guardian angel. If you go into Abramelin and go and refer back to, I did a video last month, September, about the HGA, more about the HGA. Go and have a look at that, because I speak about this specifically, where you've got, if you go into Abramelin and a lot of other types of works, you have the 2 soul fragments. One is considered to be the lower or the demonic, and the other one is considered to be the upper or higher or angelic. I don't like the hierarchy, the power hierarchy that they kind of bring into this idea, but we do have these 2 soul fragments. Usually the process is get in knowledge and conversation with the lower demonic, and then go through into getting knowledge and conversation with the holy guardian angel. Now, in terms of this, I don't know, Jebediah, I don't think it's usually, these kind of, as far as I know, when you're actually looking in the natal chart for the specific name for the lower, I'm just going to keep calling it lower, the easier to define, the lower demonic aspect. You can find that in the natal chart. You're not going to find the name of Holy Guardian Angel in your natal chart. But the other one, it's usually not an angel or a spirit or even a demon or any kind of entity which is classified on, as I said, in these sort of angelic realms. So Jebediah would not be one of them. I don't know where that comes in, where that fits in. That's a bit confusing for me. So sure, something you can pursue if you want to see where it takes you, but that for me is very confusing. And then, yeah, the idea of the just want to add here, the idea of the 72 angels of the Shem and their demon counterparts, that's an idea, that's something I don't follow myself. First of all, the 72, the name of the 72 names of God. The idea of the 72 angels, that's developed over time. Previously, it wasn't even angels, it was just these forces, 72 powers or forces that came out of those three sentences in that part of the Old Testament. But I don't like this idea of assigning the 72 angels of the Shem to the 72 spirits of the Goetia. I just think they're completely different, separate things. And, the Ars Goetia, first of all, is a compilation of various different grimoires that were published previously and have nothing to do. There's just somebody came along, read a load of books, put a load of information together, started working with it, and then started to just put down their own way of working, created their own grimoire, and it was a compilation of all of this other previous stuff. So just because it ended up being 72, probably just a nice number, they probably like the number because of the 72 names of God. But I don't think it has any relation at all to do with the 72 angels of the Shem. And I know that other people, what was the other guy's name that started talking about this originally? I can't remember now, sorry. But that's not something I personally do. Doesn't mean that there isn't something there for other people to find. And then the movie A Dark Song, really good movie, really enjoyed it, but nothing to do with Abramelin, absolutely nothing to do with Abramelin. That kind of went completely off track, completely off the rails. But it was a good movie. It was a very entertaining movie. That was really all it was. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure. That's something you're going to have to explore a bit further. My pointers would be, first of all, I really don't think that Jebediah would be anyone's holy guardian angel. That's a completely different entity entirely. And even if it was that, this idea of the holy or the lower, the lesser daimon, whatever we're going to call it, it wouldn't be an entity which exists in any kind of category. As I said, the kind of angelic thrones and all of that stuff, or even demonic names. A spirit that kind of exists outside yourself. This is you. It's part of it. It's a fragment of your own soul. And this is where I think we can probably explain it the easiest is, it is a fragment of your own personal soul. It's you. And if you're talking about an entity, an angel called Jebediah, that's external to you. So it's a completely different thing, absolutely different thing, entirely. So I'm not sure what avenue you want to go down there, but just some things, some food for thought, let's put it that way. All right. Going on to the last question for today. Let me go back over here because I can read it easier. From Key33333, question for the next video. Can you talk about taglocks? I'm a little bit confused about what can be a taglock. Can anything about a person be a taglock? For example, something they gifted you, their name itself, etc. Is one taglock more powerful than another, like blood? Okay, I'm going to direct you into the wild world again because we actually spoke about this. It was called taglock. What was it called? Blood Magic and Taglocks, I think. I'll put I know that's got a specific title, so I remember which one it was. So I'll put that one in the description below if you're interested in watching that. But yeah, we got into some very interesting stuff, and something I didn't actually know at the time. Taglocks, something that Kai actually raised. Taglock was originally hair that has been kind of bundled together or knotted together. That's a taglock. But it kind of then extended into all of these different things. And yes, it is very much this idea of anything which is connected to the DNA of a person. So it's usually bodily items like hair, nail clippings. It can be bodily fluids like sweat, spit, blood, semen, vaginal fluids, any kind of sexual fluids, menstrual blood. What other bodily fluids do we have? We've got urine. We do have poop. I don't think many people work with that. Urine's actually quite a good one, a big one, and that's usually used by the witch themselves for protective purposes, and usually like in something like a witch bottle, where you are using it as a decoy. So what happens is it's a waste product first of all. If you're going to don't use like blood or anything like that in a witch bottle, only use urine. It's a waste product, byproduct. So you use it as a decoy. The energy or the spirit or the witch gets attracted to the decoy, gets caught in the bottle, and then stays there instead of getting to you. So you kind of use it that way. Or you can use urine, and usually your first stream of the day, you can add that to your wash water that you're going to wash your floors with, to cleanse, to protect and everything else. So a very protective element actually. But taglocks are usually something you get from a person in order to use within magic. Sometimes you have to get a bit sneaky about that, depending on, if you're going to do a healing on a person, obviously you can go and ask them, but otherwise they are probably not going to want to give the item to you. Let's see, you've got, and then things that people touch, which comes into contagion magic. So if clothing is a good taglock, if it's something they wear often as well. Jewelry is a good taglock because they've worn it, they've come into contact with it. Anything the person's come into contact, they've touched. And it's very kind of like, you come into practical Kabbalah, you have the nefesh, but you also have the shadow of the nefesh, the nefesh ha-selem, which is said to be kind of sticky. So anything you touch, your shadow of your lower self kind of sticks to something, and it leaves something behind. So you've got this again coming back to contagion magic. So anything that the person's touched can be used. Another good taglock is something the person has signed, their actual signature, because that's a personal identification. But in that circumstance, what you really want to try and get is the actual signature, the not a photocopy or an image that has been taken by camera phone or whatever, sent over the internet. That's not really going to work. You actually want the person's physical signature that's been done with a pen. So that's really it. A lot of people use photos. This is becoming a lot more popular, and also just writing the person's name down because the name is personal to them, their image is personal to them. That's kind of like, if we are looking at this idea of are some taglocks more powerful than others, then that would be your kind of last resort. If you can't get hair and nail clippings or anything like that, then get a photo. Or you can't get the signature, get a photo. If you can't get a photo, then write their name. It's kind of like your last resort. If you can get something which is really intimately connected to them, that's an even stronger connection to them, and therefore it works a lot easier and a lot better. So yes, you would then come into things like their signature, and then you would come into things like something they've just touched. Then you would come into things which are personal to them, clothing, jewelry, things that they have touched. They've the contagion magic again, but it's something of theirs. Therefore, it's a bit more intimate. Then you would come to bodily items, and then bodily fluids. So your hair and nail clippings, even skin, and then tears, sweat, spit, all of the other stuff. It's a bit more difficult to get blood. And if you're going to start getting things like blood and sexual fluids, you have to be very careful. There is this whole idea of, yes, grab a taglock, use it in magic. But you've got to remember that you are using something which is intimately connected with the person, and that's why you are therefore creating or working along this link, this energetic link to the person. Okay, so the thing you have, the taglock you have, becomes the person. You can add the taglock to poppets or whatever magic to make for use in sympathetic magic, and that flow goes both ways. So you're not the only one who is connecting along a thread of energy to that person. They can also connect back to you because you have them in your possession. Okay, and you've also touched that thing. Probably not blood or semen or something like that. You may have touched it, I don't know. But you're in contact with them. It's in your own home. So, be careful of these things. Just because you got someone's taglock doesn't mean they can't work on you. But yeah, I think that does it. Just see, something they gifted you. Yes, absolutely. You can use something they gifted you because they've touched it. And it's probably a little bit more intimate than just something that they've just touched with, just willy-nilly passed by, brushed their arm against or something like that. Because something they've gifted to you is a bit more personal to them because they went out and they chose it specifically for you. So that's also a good one. All right, I think that's Taglocks. But go and have a look at the show. Go watch the show. It was very interesting. We've got into some very interesting elements around that topic. Okay, and that's it for this week, and I'll see you next time. Cheers for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.